Have you ever woken up from a dream and just stayed there, eyes open, ceiling above you, the room exactly as you left it, but something in you refusing to move? Not because you were tired, because what you just experienced felt too real to walk away from, too specific, too strange. And a part of you, the quiet part that doesn't speak in daylight, was certain it meant something. Most people have had at least one dream like that, a dream that didn't dissolve by breakfast the way the others do, a dream that followed you through the morning, sat with you through the afternoon, and was still there, somewhere in the back of your mind, when you went to bed the next night. Here's what most believers are never told. Throughout the entire arc of Scripture, from Genesis to Revelation, God speaks to ordinary people through dreams, not just to prophets, not just to kings, to shepherds sleeping in fields, to prisoners, to foreigners in strange lands, to people who had done nothing to deserve a visit and everything to disqualify themselves from one. This was not a phenomenon unique to Bible times. It is one of God's oldest languages, and He has not stopped speaking it. There are 7 specific kinds of dreams that Scripture connects directly to God's voice, and the 5th one is the dream most people are too ashamed to admit they have had. Most people dismiss it as guilt, file it away, and never tell a single person. But it may be the most significant dream on this entire list. Maybe you called it stress, maybe you called it your subconscious processing a hard week, or something you watched before you fell asleep, or simply your imagination doing what imaginations do. Maybe you tried to tell someone about it once and the words came out wrong, or you could see in their face that they didn't understand and you decided never to bring it up again. So you filed it, you moved on, but did you? Because you are here right now at whatever hour this is watching a video about dreams, and I do not think that is a coincidence. What if it was not random? What if in those hours when your defenses were completely down, when you couldn't argue or overthink or distract yourself, God was doing something He could not do while you were awake? What if the dream you dismissed before your first cup of coffee was the message He sent in the middle of the night? What if you have been carrying something for years, a memory of a dream, a feeling that has never quite left, that you never opened? I am going to walk you through 7 specific types of dreams that Scripture connects to God's voice. For each one, I will show you where it appears in the Bible, who experienced it, and what it may mean if you have had something similar. Stay with me through all 7. The 5th dream, the one about shame, about feeling exposed, about waking up heavy, is the one most people are too embarrassed to admit they have had, and it might be the most important one on this list. 1. The dream where you are being chased. You know this one. Something behind you, sometimes a figure, sometimes a shadow, sometimes just a force you cannot name or see, and you're running. Your legs feel heavy. The distance between you and whatever is pursuing you is closing, and no matter how fast you go, it is never fast enough. The book of Psalms was written in large part by a man who knew what it felt like to be hunted. David, before he was a king, before he was celebrated, before anything about his story looked the way it would eventually look, spent years running, hiding in caves, moving at night, looking over his shoulder. And in the middle of that season, he wrote prayers that are still being prayed thousands of years later by people who have never lived in a cave but know exactly what it feels like to be afraid of something closing in on them. If you have had a dream where you are being chased, where you are running from something you cannot name but can feel, it may be God drawing your attention to a fear that has taken up more space in your waking life than you have acknowledged. Not to condemn you for the fear, not to tell you you are weak, but to surface it, to show it to you, because you cannot face what you have not looked at. David did not become who he became by outrunning what was chasing him. He became who he became by eventually turning around. The thing chasing you in the dream may be the very thing God is preparing you to face in the waking. 2. The dream where you are falling. There is no ground. You are dropping through open air and your stomach has that hollow, sick feeling. And part of your mind knows this is a dream and part of you is not so sure. And then you either wake up before you land or you land, and the landing is nothing like you feared. In the 28th chapter of Matthew, we find Peter doing something extraordinary and then doing something very human. He steps out of a boat in the middle of a storm, he walks on water, and then he looks at the wind, he looks at the waves, he looks at everything that should make what he is doing impossible, and he begins to sink. Peter was not a coward. He was the only one who got out of the boat. But the moment his attention shifted from the one who called him to the conditions surrounding him, the surface beneath him stopped holding his weight. If you have dreamed of falling, of the ground simply not being there, of dropping through something that was supposed to hold you, it may be God gently revealing the thing your faith has actually been resting on. Not what you say your faith rests on, what it actually rests on. The thing that when it shifts, you shift with it. This is not a dream of failure. It is a dream of discovery. You do not find out what you are standing on until the floor disappears. 3. The dream where someone who has died appears. They are just there, clear, present, more vivid than any other person in any dream you can remember. They look at you, or speak to you, or simply stand near you, and there is a quality to the moment that is nothing like the way the living appear in dreams. There is a stillness to it, a peace, and when you wake up, you are not frightened. You are moved. Scripture does not shy away from the dead appearing among the living. On the mountain of transfiguration, Moses and Elijah, men who had been gone for centuries, appeared beside Jesus, visible and recognizable to the disciples who were with him. There was no fear in what those disciples witnessed. There was awe. There was the sense of something ancient and alive at the same time. If someone who has passed has appeared to you in a dream, calm, at peace, whole in a way they may not have seemed in their final days, it may be God's way of closing something in you that grief left open. Not every visitation is a haunting. Some are releases. Some are the moment God gives you permission to let something rest, not because what you lost did not matter, but because it mattered enough to deserve a closing. Some visits in the night are not hauntings. They are releases. Now, the first 3 dreams were about external experiences. Being pursued, losing your footing, a visitor from the past, but the next 4 are different. They move inward. They are not about what is happening around you. They are about what God is doing inside you. Your identity, your calling, your future, the thing you carry that you have never named out loud. And the 5th dream, the one most people are too ashamed to admit they have had, is the dream we have been building toward. Stay with me. 4. The dream where you are in a place you have never been, but somehow know. The geography is unfamiliar. The streets, the landscape, the building, nothing you recognize from your waking life. And yet something in you is not lost. Something in you knows this place, knows it belongs to you, or you to it. And you wake up with a longing you cannot explain for somewhere you have never actually been. In the 12th chapter of Genesis, God speaks to a man named Abram. He does not show him a map. He does not describe the destination in detail. He says, "Leave what you know and go to the land I will show you." And Abram, who will become Abraham, Sherer, goes. He travels toward a place he has never seen, holding only the word of a God who promised it was real. If you have dreamed of a place unfamiliar but somehow recognized, a place that felt like yours without any logical reason, it may be God giving you a glimpse of where He is taking you before your feet have arrived. Not a fantasy, not wishful thinking, a preview. Because sometimes people need to see the destination before they can bring themselves to take the first step toward it. God shows the destination before He reveals the road, because the destination is the reason you take the first step. 5. The dream where you feel ashamed, exposed, unworthy. Here it is, the one you did not tell anyone about. Maybe in the dream you were caught in something, for something, being something you did not want anyone to see. Maybe you felt the weight of every version of yourself you are not proud of pressing down on you all at once. Maybe you woke up with a heaviness you could not shake before noon, and your first instinct was to call it guilt, to call it your conscience doing its work, to call it nothing, just your brain reminding you of things you already knew. In the 6th chapter of Isaiah, a prophet finds himself in the throne room of God. He does not feel honored. He does not feel chosen. He says, and these are his words, "Woe is me, for I am undone. I am a man of unclean lips." He is in the presence of the holiest thing he has ever encountered. And his first response is not confidence. It is collapse. He is certain this moment is not for someone like him. And then, not after he cleaned himself up, not after he earned a better standing, a coal is taken from the altar and placed against his lips, and the angel says, "Your guilt is taken away. Your sin is atoned for." And then God says, "Whom shall I send?" And Isaiah says, "Here I am, send me." If you have had a dream where you felt exposed, where every inadequacy was visible, where you woke up heavy, it may not be condemnation. It may be God showing you the precise thing that has kept you playing small, so that He can remove it, not to shame you, to free you. The dream did not come to tell you that you are disqualified. It may have come to show you the last thing standing between you and the yes He is waiting to give you. God does not expose what He is not prepared to heal. 6. The dream, where you are given something. A task, a word, an object you are meant to carry. Someone hands you something, or a voice speaks something over you, or you are assigned, clearly, specifically, to do something that in the dream feels enormous. And when you wake up, you feel the weight of it still in your hands, even though your hands are empty. In the 3rd chapter of 1 Kings, God appears to Solomon in a dream at night and says something that has no parallel anywhere else in Scripture. Ask for whatever you want me to give you. An open offer, no ceiling. And Solomon, who could have asked for anything, asks for a discerning heart, for wisdom to govern, to know the difference between right and wrong, to lead people well. And God gives him what he asked for, and more. If you have dreamed of being handed something, a responsibility, a word, a commission you did not feel ready for, and you woke up with a sense of weight you could not shake, it may be God placing something in your hands before it arrives in your life, not to overwhelm you, to prepare you, to let you feel the shape of it before it becomes real, so that when it does become real, some part of you already knows how to hold it. What God puts in your hands in the dream, He is preparing to put in your hands in the world. 7. The dream that keeps coming back. You have had it more than once. The details may shift, the setting, the faces, the sequence of events, but the feeling is the same. The core of it is the same. And every time you wake from it, you think again. Why again? In the 40th chapter of Genesis, Pharaoh has a dream. Then he has another one. Same message, different imagery. 2 cows, 7 fat and 7 thin. 2 stalks of grain, 7 full and 7 withered. And when Joseph interprets them, he says something significant. The dream was given to Pharaoh twice because the matter is firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. Joseph himself had dreamed the same dream twice. As a young man, his brothers bowing down, the imagery repeating as if God wanted to be certain it was received. In both cases, repetition was not coincidence. Repetition was emphasis. If you have had the same dream more than once, or the same feeling recurring across different dreams, the same theme returning no matter how much time has passed, it may be God repeating himself because what he is saying has not yet fully landed. He is not repeating himself because he is unsure. He is repeating himself because he knows you need to hear it more than once, and because what he is saying is too important to leave to a single night. God does not repeat himself because he is unsure. He repeats himself because he knows you need to hear it more than once. You may have recognized yourself in one of these 7, maybe more than one, and maybe until right now, you never had language for what you experienced. You had the memory of it, vivid in some cases, faded in others, but no framework for what it was or what it might mean. You called it strange. You called it your brain doing what brains do. You told yourself it was the late night, the hard week, the thing you watched before you fell asleep, and you moved on. But what if it was not? What if in those quiet hours, when no one else was awake, when your arguments and your logic and your busyness had finally gone still, God was speaking into the silence? What if the dream you filed away was the message he sent when you were finally still enough to receive it? Jacob was alone on the ground, sleeping on a rock, running from everything he had broken. Isaiah was in the throne room feeling like the least qualified person in the universe. Solomon had not yet done anything to earn what God was about to give him. Daniel was a captive in a country that was not his own, with no platform, no influence, no reason to expect that heaven would open in his direction. Joseph was a young man in a pit, with brothers who had turned their backs on him, holding nothing but a dream he did not yet understand. None of them were positioned for greatness by any human measure, and all of them were spoken to by God in the night. If any of these 7 feel familiar to you, if you found yourself nodding or going quiet or thinking of a dream you had not thought about in years, here is what I want you to do. Do not dismiss it again. Write it down. Sit with it for a moment before the day rushes in. You do not need to have it figured out. You do not need to understand what it means. You simply need to stop calling it nothing. Because the same God who spoke to Jacob on a rock, and to Isaiah in a throne room, and to Joseph in a pit, and to Daniel in a foreign land is the same God tonight, and he does not waste what he sends in the night. Before you go, one honest question. Of these 7 dreams, the chase, the fall, the visitor, the unknown place, the shame, the assignment, the one that keeps returning, at which one have you had? Drop just the number in the comments below. You do not have to explain it. You do not have to tell the whole story, just the number, because naming it may be the first step toward finally understanding what God has been trying to show you. And if someone in your life has told you about a dream they could not shake, one they mentioned once and then never brought up again, share this with them. They may need to hear that it was not random.